It seems like we don't have a C64 Warlords. We have to fix that. My brother sent me some assets for charpad. The CTM files. Let's see. Okay. There's a crystal. It can rotate. I don't know how to rotate it in this program. I never use this. And here is a compressed overview of the playing area. Sample. Okay. Awesome stuff. So, go with the compressed one. So the idea will be to make something with assembly using Kick Assembler to display this information on screen. That's a good start, I guess. It's like hello world, but then with the graphics as it is intended to be. Not handy to have it like this. I mean, if a player scores 1 point, I need to be able to flip the 0 to 1 easy. And in memory it's easy if they are lining up in memory, like follow each other up. And I can do like increase 1. So I texted my brother, like, can you sort these characters? And he was saying you can hold Control or Alt and do some sorting. Oh, I did it. Control. Okay. So I click one without control, and then I click the one I want there with control. Now, it would be nice, I guess, if we line these graphics up as well. It's not needed so much, I guess. Why not? God damn it. Oh, this needs to go in here. Let's go with it. Save. So now we can export. It's a binary file, I guess. Export the character set. Character set. Map compressed. Jars. Fine with me. Let's see if we can display this on screen in WinVice. Will be quite a challenge for today. I haven't done assembly in a while.
Hey, puppy. Back, get, suck, see?
Just starting up a little. I've loaded a chipset and a common ASM from a library that I maintain. And basically what is in the chipset is like a lot of labels to, for example, FIC border color. And this points to an address. It's in the D0000 range because that's where the FIC looks. I made labels for it so it's readable. Sometimes I do this. Like, this is D016, this one. So I have them both here. I do this so that I can still look it up on the interwebs if I need to know a little bit more about the register. It's just the way I do it. So we import those. I keep everything in this file in the namespace game because this is also the game.asm. If I write some stuff here and I want to access it, I have to do it by game. And then the label that I want to access from this file. Keeps things tidy. So then I defined my charset location and my screen location where the characters are for the screen. But normally the FIC2 doesn't look here. You have to configure the FIC and we'll do that later. And then this tells what gets compiled when I press F7. In this case it will make a game.prg and it uses these segments that I have defined down here. And I allow overlap. I always put it in, or usually, because later I will start putting the segments in different locations and then copy paste them in memory to the right location so that we can have like a continuous block. And why do we want that? Well, the continuous block can be saved as a PRG on its own. The PRG is then smaller than if you have like all these gaps in your memory. So you can save to disk with less blocks. That's basically what you're doing. Or I can use the segments and put them in the location for a cartridge and make a little program that copies it from the cartridge to all the right spots. It's for later, but that's why I'm working with segments. Thought I'd just explain. This is my charset segment, the one that I've defined here for the file. And I'm right now loading the charset on the spot as defined here. I import it as a binary because we saved it as a binary. And this is the one that I exported earlier. I gave it a little different name right now. I like it better like this because everything is lowercase. Blah, 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 blah. So this will load our file at this address. Super. Then the upstart segment. This is from Kick Assembler. It will write a little bit of basic telling the C64 when we press run. Like, okay, this is basic, but you have to go to sys and then this address. The address will be defined by setup in this case. And setup is here, right after the basic statement, so we'll keep things nice and tidy together. So this will do sys to this address, and then it basically will run the machine code that comes after compiling this. So much details to explain. I hope you get it. If I go too fast, please leave a comment down below. Jeffrey, slow down please. So the machine language starts with telling the CIA2 chip on the data port A address, apparently DD00, switch the FIC2, which is the display chip, to configure is bank to 3, and that is this space. Telling the FIC, like I said earlier, the FIC looks at a different address by default, but this tells it to look for this specific address. And we need to do this to have more memory. Long story. C64 has 64K, but a lot of that is mapped to I/O. But you disable it, and then you can write to the actual memory behind it, and for another video maybe. So we're telling the FIC to go to bank 3. We then tell the FIC to set it up like this. Within the space, have the char set on a different location and the screen memory in a different location. And basically with these bits you tell where it needs to go. First 4 bits are for the char mem and the last 4 bits are for the screen. And there is documentation for that, of course. It's not like I hooked this up all of a sudden. We load the color gray, which is basically a number, but I have it defined as a label again from Common. And this gray label puts a number in there. I don't have to know the number because I use the label gray. Black I kinda know it's 0 and white is 1. So I can write 0 here as well. It's basically the same thing. This reads a little better. So I want the gray border color, I want the black background. Next, we're going to write to the game screen. So screen was defined here as a label. Game screen, write the 6 to the first one, 4 to the second slot by increasing the register with 1. So it should write top left corner 64. You also have to define the colors. This goes to a different register with FIC2. It starts at a certain point. I named it color start in my library. Not sure if that's still a good idea, but works. So for these 2 letters, I'm defining white as their color. Then I make a little loop. I label it here. Then I jump back to the loop, and then it will jump over and over again, basically locking the application because it doesn't do anything then. And I do that because if I don't, and I just do this, then the machine language will continue after this, and of course you don't know what is after that. So then it can crash and just lock up the application for now. And yeah, that's it. My init script. Let's see if it works. There we go. 64 in white. This garbage is funny, is like the initialization of the Commodore 64. It's likely like 000000 FFFFFFF0000. Just the way the memory looks on a cold boot. To demonstrate, I can tinker with this. We can make this red, for example. And we can write 65. F7. There you have it, a red 65. I copy pasted this from the other game we did for Retro Brothers. Oh, I didn't have to look at the manual, just copy paste the same statements. Makes it easier. Otherwise you have to go to the manual and figure out what every bit is doing, because this is all defined with bits. Like every bit is doing something else, or 1 or 0 is blah 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 blah. Anyway, good job. We have some presentation, and now we'll continue and get the level rendered, like the example. Wish me luck. But first I needed to take a nap with the little guy. Or at least I thought we were napping together. Maybe it was just me. Hey, different outfit. It's been 2 days now. I've been working on it for 2 days. But I got it done. So to demonstrate that I did it, here we go. And I also have it, I can also load it on the V64. I could also load it up on my Commodore 64 bread bin, but I don't have the camera set up right now, and I'm a lazy person. But I know for sure this is not very complicated what we've been coding so far, so if it works in WinFice and it works on the 64, which is also WinFice, it should also work on the bread bin. I'm sure of that. Now one thing to discuss really quickly is with charpad, the map editor is quite handy to design some stuff. It consists of tiles, and the tiles consist of characters. And if you do this right, you can save a lot of memory, which is especially true if you're working on a RPG like Vulcano Towers, where this is an awesome tool that we used extensively with the tiles and the tile set and the character set. But for this Warlords project, I decided to not use the map and the tiles, and I went and recreated it based on the characters. And what that looks like is I've been looking for patterns in the design, and then I went like make these little tables. This one, this is the graphic data for info that we project over a wall, and these numbers correspond with the offset in the character set. So this is character number 34, 35, 36, and I can show you in here. It's basically this tile. Here we go, 34, 35, 36. So this little bit. Then the next one is below it, 42, 42. This is different every time. Normally it's a B, so it's 10. And that's exactly what you see here. And then below it, this one. I've defined this one time, and then based on the input of the player, I can do an LDY1, LDY2, loop over it, call this draw info method, so labeled to memory. And then we look at the start positions for that specific player as defined here. So for the first player, it needs to draw it in the top left corner, so an offset of 1. It's basically set up here, the start of the screen, and then the X pos and the Y position are added. It's pretty basic instructions. If you get started in assembly, this is peanuts. But for a newcomer to assembly, this looks like complicated. But I think it's out of scope of this video to do a really early tutorial on assembly. I could do that maybe sometime if you're interested in that. I select the colors based on the characters I'm finding. Higher than 12, character 12, it should basically be gray, except for the 33 one. It should be cyan, is that how you pronounce it, or is it cyan? My English, love it. Yeah. I can go over all these methods, but like here, just the shield drawing. The shield is the blue the sign bits in the black. This one. These are shields. Player shields. It's the one that is protecting your crystal that will be here. That's the idea, at least. We're working on it. So yeah, I don't feel like going into detail over every row like we did with the setup. This is, like I said, really basic. Copy and pasting. And loops. And now I don't want these videos to get too long anyway, so... But yeah, here you have it. The hello world of a Warlords game for the C64. I hope to continue this. So, if part 2 is done, we'll present it over here. If it is not done, YouTube will recommend you something here. And if you want to stay up to date, please subscribe, like to help the channel, comment if you have questions. And that's it for this video. So thank you for subscribing and see you in the next one.